All right, hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Rob here, talking more Expanse. Season 6, Episode 2 just dropped about an hour and a half ago and some change. And here we are talking about it not too long. It's probably going to be more like 9:30 by the time anybody sees this. But it's time to have more Expanse fun. And boy did they, premieres are always exciting. We love our premieres, but what I really like is when you get to episode 2s and 3s, you get that a lot of stuff usually happens to like set up more of the conflict. And then by like 7 or 8 episodes in, then you get back to that really good run of like stuff is starting to pay off. And so we have a lot of really good stuff in here building more on what's going to be coming in season 6. But a lot of cool stuff happens in this, and I'm all here for it. So if you like what we're doing here on the channel, I want to thank everybody who's checking these out. As always, my returning subscribers who watch The Expanse here. If you're just finding it for the first time, welcome to the conversation. Yeah, hit the bell for notifications. Subscribed. Make me feel special. No, it just helps with motivation. Hitting that like button helps too, I guess. Whatever. It's chill. All right, we're just here to talk about The Expanse. And if you want to support the channel while you do it, that's great. Okay, so let's jump into this, but we got to talk about what was announced like just a couple of days ago, right? Because everybody that knows me knows that I love Drummer. Drummer's my favorite character. Kara G, come get some. I think Kara G is beautiful, okay? Drummer's my favorite character. And we are getting an Expanse Telltale game. It looks like Drummer's going to be the character you're playing as. And I couldn't be more excited. This is going to be amazing. We haven't had a Telltale game in a while. We've been sitting waiting for The Wolf Among Us Part 2 to come out, and that hasn't come out yet. But they throw us The Expanse, so the show might be over, but my favorite character will still live on when this game comes out, presumably next year sometime. I'm not sure what the exact date of that is, but I will be playing it on my channel, on my Twitch channel, and we'll be letting you guys know when that happens. So very, very excited for Expanse Telltale. So let me know if you the trailer for that. Let me know what you think about that, because that's not really playing a game. That's more like an interactive experience where you just pick choices and things that move the plot along. So I think a lot of people that aren't even gamers could really get into this if you want to have more Expanse story. So there. Okay. But now talking about this episode. This episode had a lot going on. I was very happy with it. And as always, we're just going to start with what I found least interesting to most interesting. And this week's least interesting thing, probably like last week's, was anything that had to do with Sirius Station. For the most part, Marco and Philip and his second in command. Marco trying to have like this heart-to-heart with Philip. I'm looking at all this as to where it's going and what it's all going to amount to. So what is his speech to his son really mean? I think it's powerful for the characters, but it just really wasn't interesting for me to watch and listen to, because while it's interesting to hear the point that Marco's making of we had nobody to count on, and we partied and we showed up. It's, we're talking about work ethics. We're talking about differences in generations here a little bit. But it just all kind of like went, yeah, well, what's the real point of this? Because really, I mean, Philip, I'm not saying that this isn't an interesting part of the episode. I'm saying it's the least interesting to me. And there is stuff that's going on with Philip that is interesting, just not as interesting as the other stuff, which is he realizes, that he's responsible. He's helped kill millions of people. And while his dad is loving this, he's struggling, and that is what's causing this these outbursts and what he did to his friend. You know, like all these things that are messing him up. My problem is that for me personally, too far, too late. You know, like too little, too late. I know the character's gonna get this. I can feel it. The redemptive arc, do the right thing, probably turn on his father or something along those lines, or maybe not. You know, either way, I'm actually good with it. But that part is there. He is struggling. It isn't good to see this character struggle, but in the end, I want to still see him floating out in space. That's just me. But you know, with the rest of the stuff though, that kind of ties into the end. Marco feels like he's kind of been prepared for what they do. That we'll be talking about with the Rocinante arc of this episode. So that's interesting that he's kind of already like prepared for this. That if this had gone down, or maybe it was something he knew was going to happen, or maybe it was all like maybe he planned that all along, that out there, so that he really needs the fleet to move. So he kind of set up a thing that makes it look like he, you know, like, oh, you caught us off guard. If that's the case, then I like that spark of a plan that shows some of the intellect that Marco should have in this situation. For me, the most part, I just find him to be you know, how other people describe him in the show. You know, he got lucky, and now he thinks he's a god. So the second least interesting thing, and maybe this should have been the least interesting thing, was with Avasarala and Monica. I think it was Avasarala's speech that raised it above the Marco and Sirius Station stuff, because at least something, I'm excited to see what comes of this. I'm less excited to see what comes of the Sirius Station stuff. But her speech to Monica, who's been a pain, a thorn in her side, and, you know, was not one of my favorite parts of when she showed up last season. Still not quite sure what her purpose is on the show, unless it's to fill in gaps for missing characters or missing arcs from other things. Maybe she's in the book, or maybe she's in the book and playing a different role. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what Monica's purpose is in the books, if she even exists in the books, or how it differs or whatever. But I like that Avasarala just, you know, she gives the freaking that the big old speech that happens with characters who just, she's, you know, doing like a Tyrion speech or whatever, you know, except this one has to do with guilt and getting her to do the right thing. And there are some interesting things that can come out of what she said to her if she does it. Putting the face, you know, it's like what they say about serial killers, you know, that they don't want to know their victims are anything but an object. You know, if people you know, like if a serial killer, they say, like, if you make it personal, if they know your name, it's harder for them to kill you. I think in this respect, it's kind of that same thing of like familiarity, that if they see faces, if they see the numbers, if they see the data, if they see all this stuff, that maybe it'll give some of them pause. And it also gives Monica something to do rather than focus on Avasarala, who I think is trying to just keep everything she's trying to do under the table, because what she's doing is really risky, this whole mission. Now, it was really hard to choose between the Rocinante and Drummer part, because Drummer's part and the Rossi's part both bear fruit. But to me, it almost feels like what Drummer's doing is probably going to have more immediate impact than what the Rossi's doing. And that's that Drummer meets this guy, Liang Walker, who's kind of with Marco, but not, you know, like, he does like freight deliveries and things like that. He's kind of like off on the fringes of this whole thing, kind of like other guys that are in it, but, you know, they're kind of like doing the pirate thing at the same time, it feels like. But it's in this moment that Drummer finds out about Marco's supply depots and how quickly, you know, they're bartering about like how to remove the one girl from her ship to his, and the next thing you know, they're talking about all this stuff. I love how they write her to just be like how they're talking about the ship and Ashford, and it's almost like buttering up, like getting into this guy, like making him comfortable and easing him into the conversation that they're about to have, which is, she's trying to just feel him out to like what she wants to have done, which is go after the depots, hit them, like make them feel about like they're pirates again, and make them almost feel like it's their idea. And she's so good at it, and I love her, but I still had to leave that at number 2 to the roci stuff because, like I said, Kara G. Okay, so the Rocinante stuff. The big stuff, of course, is the big ship, chase. And that was really, really cool. I really like it. I really like that Bobby being in control over everyone else. And they don't cause too much grief about it. They just do it. There could be all sorts of, I don't know, who's giving you the orders? Who's like, I'm the captain. Like, lesser shows would have done something like that. Instead, The Expanse does what's right. And he follows his orders. He knows Bobby. He trusts her. He trusts the plan, even if he doesn't see it all. And they still do it. And even I'm like, good Lord, what are they trying to do? Because the maneuvers are, once they're chasing instead of ambushing, it's a whole different ball of wax. And again, Bobby being a badass. Again, I love this cast, and as we get more into the season and then reminding me why I love The Expanse so much and why I love the roci crew and all the things that they get to do, I'm getting that bug back, that enjoyment back of talking about it again, and hopefully it's coming out here. But then you have Naomi having the kind of her PTSD moment of like, and it just happened so fast, and because the situation is so immediate that there's not a lot of time to think about whether or not she's going to make that jump. But when she stops, it was like, boom, like so many things were happening. I did not even think that would happen. It didn't enter my mind until she stopped. And immediately once that happened, it all like, it was like, oh God, we didn't even know how freaked out she was by her experience until now. Like, Naomi's a rock. She just does what has to be done. Last season, she did some crazy shit. But apparently, it's catching up to her in a very tough moment. But it does give Clarissa the moment to stand up, step up, and do what she had to do. And then Holden giving her the compliment the right way, the professional way, the way she needs to hear it as a member of the crew. And then later, once you get past all the other stuff, then they'll be more comfortable. Right now, she's a part of the crew, and that was a really interesting way to do it. I really like the way she's taking it, and I also really liked how Holden called her Peaches at the beginning. I thought that was really funny because I think it was just like what she's comfortable hearing before he actually says Clarissa. I think he's probably more comfortable saying Peaches than Clarissa, because if he says Clarissa, all the memories might come back a little bit faster and make it hard for the process of moving on. But that was just all really, really well done. They got the mother lode, the thing that Marco apparently was all, planning on, but it was an interesting way. They now know where all the rocks are, but now it's what decision to do with this information, I think, is the most important part, because he's waiting for them to make a mistake. And really, I think that both things, that whether they do one or the other, it's going to be bad. So it's just picking which bad do you, which thing do you need to solve faster? Which is the more immediate danger? So that's it. That's the review for this. I know we didn't go into too much detail, but I'm trying to get better and shorter and more concise at these things. So it's now up to you guys to let me know again in the comment section below what you're thinking so far, what's your favorite parts, what's not your favorite parts, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Rob saying, if you like what we're doing, again, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, notifications, bell, blah, 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 blah. Here's some other videos to watch, and we'll see you next week for more Expanse Season 6. Bye.